Hello, welcome to day 2, lesson 2 of Algebra 1 home learning with Miss Barrett. Today is Thursday, March 19th. And today's objective is hopefully students will be able to factor trinomials when A equals 1. We're going to have 3 activities. Activity 1 is to complete the notes. The notes were sent to you in your emails. If you have not yet, please do print out your notes. Activity 2 is to start the GCF matching activity, which is also in your email. And last but not least, activity 3 is individual practice that you're going to finish. You're basically going to finish the GCF matching activity. And that you're going to do that at home by yourself or with the help of your parents. Now, I do want to stress, guys, do not cheat yourself out of the individual practice. I know we're at home, we really don't want to do it, but it's your best bet to learning how to do these skills on your own. So please, I'm begging you, do the individual practice. And if you have any questions or concerns, you can, of course, leave me a comment on my YouTube channel, or you can email me, and your parents should have my email. Okay, so first things first. Our objective says that we want to be able to factor trinomials when the A term is 1. So let's discuss what a trinomial is again. A trinomial is a polynomial with 3 terms. The specific trinomial we're going to talk about today is a quadratic. Again, we've been talking about quadratics for a couple weeks now, and we're going to continue to talk about those types of trinomials. So, an example is x squared plus 6x plus 9. This has 3 terms, 1, 2, and 3. Okay? Now, if you remember, all of our trinomials, the standard or the general form is ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay? And here, when we say we're going to factor trinomials where a is equal to 1, this is an example of that kind of trinomial. Here, there's an invisible 1, okay? So we're going to learn how to factor trinomials or quadratics that have an a term that is equal to 1, okay? All right, now you need to get out your notes, and I want you to fill these notes out with me. Okay. All right, now, so looking at the notes, so in order to factor a trinomial where a is equal to 1, you have to first find number pairs, okay? So when you're factoring a trinomial in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, and these signs can be different, by the way, you need to find a pair of numbers that multiply to c. So whatever c is, you need to find the numbers that multiply to c and add to b. So if you have a polynomial or a trinomial that's ax squared plus bx plus c, you have to find a number, 2 numbers that multiply to make this number, but that also add to make this number. Okay. Here are some hints for how to find those 2 numbers. Okay. Always find the values that multiply to c first. So first, you're always going to look at c, okay? If c is a positive number, then you know the numbers must have the same sign, which means they can both be negative because 2 negatives make a positive, or they can both be positive because 2 positives multiply to make a positive, okay? If c is negative, however, then you know the numbers must have opposite signs. Obviously, because a positive times a negative is equal to a negative. If your signs are the same, find two numbers that add to your B. And use the same sign as B. And of course, I'm going to show you examples of this. If your signs are different, find two numbers that subtract to your B and make the larger number the sign of B. Okay? Let's look at some examples. All right. So here we have find numbers that multiply to -10 and add to +3. So first here I have, this is my multiplication tree. So I want to find my factors. I want to find my factors of -10. Okay. So -10 is a negative number, obviously. So that means that the numbers are going to have different signs. Okay. So then I'm saying my factors of 10 are 1 and 10, 2 and 5, and that's about it. Okay? So then that means that it can either be -1 and 10, because -1 times 10 is -10. It could be -2 and 5, because -2 times 5 is -10. Or it can be 1 and -10, or 2 and -5. I will advise you, when you're doing this, write out all of your options. Write out every single sign variation. So here, I want to find out which one of these factor pairs adds to make +3. -1 plus 10 is +9. -2 plus 5 is +3. So this is my factor pair. Now let's say we had to keep on going. +1 minus 10 is -9. +2 minus 5 is -3. This is the only option that works. -2 plus 5 is +3. Okay. So then our factor pair is -2 and 5. That's our number pair. Okay. Next up, find the factors of 12. We'll find numbers that multiply to 12 but add to make 8. So this is a +12. That means the signs are going to be the same. So my factors are 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. It can also be -1 and -12, -2 and -6, and -3 and -4. Remember, 2 positives multiply, make a positive. 2 negatives multiply, make it a positive. So which one of these add to make 8? Well, that would be 2 and 6. Remember, the rules for addition and the rules for multiplication are different. These multiply to make 12, +12, but they also add to make +8. Now, I can't use -2 and -6 because -2 and times -6 is -12. It's +12, but -2 plus -6 is not +8. Okay. So 2 and 6 would be my factor pairs or my number pairs. All right. Multiply to make -8 and add to make -2. So I want to find factors of -8, which could be 1 and 8, 2 and 4. Okay. So since it's a -8, we know, and we're doing multiplication, we know that one of the signs has to be negative. So it could be -1 and 8, -2 and 4, or it can be +2 and -4. See, I'll just flip the signs. or it could be positive 1 and negative 8. Okay. Well, which one adds to make negative 2? That would be, because 2 is 2 and negative 4, because 2 times negative 4 is negative 8, but 2 plus negative 4 is basically saying negative 4 minus 2, which would be negative 2. Okay? So my factor pair or my number pair here is 2 and negative 4. Last but not least, multiply to make 20, positive 20, but add to make negative 9. The factors of 20 are 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5, and I think that's it. Also, because it's a positive 20, it could also be a negative 1, negative 20, negative 2, negative 10, negative 4, and negative 5. Okay. Now we got to figure out which ones add to make negative 9. That would be negative 4 plus negative 5. Okay. So we must do this when we're trying to factor out our trinomials. Okay. So now, again, a reminder, to factor, find numbers that multiply to C, but add to make B. Okay. I'll do this in green. All right. Once you find the correct numbers, this is the part where how you write out the factorization. Once you find the correct numbers, write them as parentheses, or write them as Okay, so we just learned that in order to factor a trinomial where a is equal to 1, the first thing you need to do is find the factors that multiply to C and also add to make B. That's the first step. The second step, once you find those correct numbers, write them out as factors in parentheses with the appropriate variable. How you do that is, so the appropriate variable for all these examples is going to be x. So it's going to be parentheses x plus or minus depending on the sign of the number. So if it's a positive number, it'll be x plus that number. If it's a negative number, it'll be x minus that number. Okay? In parentheses, and then another set of parentheses because you have two numbers, x plus or minus that number. Okay. And I did the first example for you. So we have the polynomial, or the quadratic, x squared plus 3x plus 2. So here our a is 1, our b is 3, and our c is 2. First step, we have to find the factors of 2, which is c, that add to make 3. My factors of 2 are 1 and 2, and negative 1 and negative 2, because 2 is positive, so it can either be 2 positives or 2 negatives. Okay. Now, the factors of positive 2 that add to make 3 are 1 and 2. So I'm going to write them in parentheses as x plus 1, because it's positive 1, and x plus 2. Now, last but not least, we check our answer by multiplying these two factors, because as we learned in the beginning of the semester, or the beginning of the quarter, is that these two are binomials. We can multiply them. So here I have x plus 1 times x plus 2. I use my FOIL method. Okay, x times x is x squared. X times positive 2 is positive 2x. X times 1 times x is 1x, and then 1 times 2 is positive 2. Combine my like terms, 2x plus 1x is 3x. So now I have x squared plus 3x plus 2, which is what I had in the beginning. Let's do another example. Okay, I have x squared minus 6x plus 8. My a here is 1. My b is negative 6, and my c is positive 8. I have to find the factors of positive 8 that add to make negative 6. Factors of C that add to make B. Say that over and over and over again in your head. Factors of C that add to make B. So then my factors of 8, since it's a positive 8, it could be 1 and 8, 2 and 4. It can also be negative 1 and negative 8, and negative 2 and negative 4. Okay. But which ones add to make negative 6? That would be negative 2 plus negative 4. Okay. So now, since I found my numbers, I'm now going to write them out as factors with parentheses. X minus 2, because it's a negative number, and x minus 4. And that's going to be my answer. These are my factors of this polynomial, or this quadratic. I'm going to check it by multiplying them and hoping I come up with what I had in the beginning. So x minus 2 times x minus 4. Use my FOIL method. First is x times x is x squared. Outer is x times negative 4, which is negative 4x. Inner is negative 2 times x, which is negative 2x. And last is negative 2 times negative 4, which is positive 8. Okay. Combine my like terms, these negative 4x and negative 2x, so I have x squared. Negative 4 plus x plus negative 2x is negative 6x, and then that 8 is there. So that is the exact thing I had in the beginning, therefore these factors are correct. Let's do it again. All right. I have x squared minus 3x minus 10. My a is 1. My a is 1. My b is negative 3. And my c is negative 10. I have to find the factors of c that add to make b. So I have to find two numbers that multiply to make negative 10, but also add to make negative 3. So since 10 is negative, then that means the numbers are going to have two different signs. So my factors can be negative 1 and 10, negative 2 and 5, or it can be positive 2 and negative 5, or positive 1 and negative 10. Okay. And now, looking at these numbers, these pairs, which pair adds to make negative 3? Well, that would be 2 plus negative 5 is negative 3. Okay. So I'm going to write them out as factors. X plus 2, because 2 is positive, and x minus 5, because 5 is negative. And that's my answer. Okay, I'm going to use this right here because I don't have enough space, but using my FOIL method, first will be x squared. Outer will be x times negative 5, which would be negative 5x. Inner would be 2 times x, which would be positive 2x. And last would be positive 2 times negative 5, which is negative 10. Combine my like terms, and you get x squared minus 3x. Excuse my pen for not working. X squared minus 3x, because negative 5x plus 2x is negative 3x, and then minus 10, which is exactly what we had in the beginning. So we know it's correct. Okay. Now, last but not least, for the examples, x squared plus 4x minus 12. Our a here is 1, our b is 4, and our c is negative 12. We have to find the factors of negative 12 that add to make 4. Since 12 is negative, the numbers must have different signs. We can have -1 and 12, -2 and 6, -3 and 4, or we can have 1 and -12, 2 and -6, or 3 and -4. Okay, all I did was flip the signs. Well, which one adds to make 4? That would be -2 and +6. Okay, so then that means I'm going to write them out as parentheses. X minus 2 because 2 is negative, and x plus 4 because 4 is, x plus 6 because 6 is positive. Okay, and I'm going to use this space over here to actually check them. X minus 2, x plus 6. Okay, using FOIL, first is x times x, which is x squared. Outer is x times +6, which is +6x. Inner is -2 times x, which is -2x. And last is -2 times 6, which is -12. Okay. Combine my like terms, which is 6x and -2x. I get x squared plus 4x minus 12, which is exactly what I had in the beginning. Right? So again, there's 3 steps. Find the factors of C that adds make B. Write out those factors as parentheses, x plus or minus the numbers, and then multiply them to check it. So at this point, you're going to go ahead and pause the video, and you're going to try to do these 4, A, B, C, and D by yourself. And then you're going to come back and check your answers. Okay. So here are the answers to the you try. I want you to remember to show all of your work always. Pause this and look at these answers. Make sure you understand them. If you do not understand them, please do not hesitate to comment or email me. Okay? So for your homework, we're going to start it together. So for your homework, you're going to get 2 sheets of paper. You're going to get this GCF matching activity paper. Okay, and it has 12 problems on it. Okay, and your job, the instructions say, factor each polynomial. Find the matching factors in the cards. Write the factors on the blanks. So you're going to get this one. And you're also going to get this one. Okay. And this is going to have all the factor pairs on it. Okay. Now remember, when you factor out a GCF, you put the GCF in front of the parentheses. And you put whatever's left on the outside of the parentheses. Okay. So every time you get a factor pair, I want you to scratch it out on here. And I'm going to show you what I mean. We're going to do numbers 1 and 2 together. All right, let's look at number 1 and 2. Okay, so we have 40x squared minus 14. If you need a separate sheet of paper to do this, that's fine. I'm going to do it on here for the sake of not having to toggle between multiple sheets of paper. Okay, so I have to find the factors of 40, the greatest common factor of 40 and 14. So 40 has factors, and we're doing prime factorization, by the way, guys, prime factorization. The largest prime number for 40 is going to be 5. 5 times 8 is 40. 8 can be broken down into 4 and 2. Okay. 4 can be broken down into 2 and 2. Again, if you need a separate sheet of paper to do this, I would advise that, because you're not going to be able to do all 12 of these problems on the same sheet. Okay, now that I'm left with all primes, I know I'm done. 14 can be broken down into 7 and 2, which we're done. So as we can see, the largest number that these two numbers have in common is 2. Okay. Right? So we know that 2 is a number they have in common. What else do they have in common? If we look here, it's 40x squared and negative 14x. So they also have at least one x in common. Now, if you want to divide them both by 2x, what do I have left? I have left 20x, because if I have x squared minus divided by x, that's like saying 2 minus 1. I have 20x left, and then I have negative 14x divided by 2x is negative 7. Okay, so these two will be my two factors. So now I'm going to go to the sheet of paper here, and I'm going to look for those two factors. And I have 2x here, and then I'm looking for 20x minus 7. And 20x minus 7 is here. So I'm going to cross these two out because I don't want to use them again. You should not have to use them again. Let's look at the next one. Number 2 says 30x cubed plus 2x squared. Let's look at my factors of 30 and my factors of 2. So my factors of 30 are, again, we're doing prime factorization. My largest prime number that goes into 30 would be 5. 5 times 6 is 30. 6 can be broken down into 3 and 2. Now I'm done because all I'm left with is prime numbers. The prime factorization of 2 is 2 times 1, and that's it, because 2 and 1 are both prime numbers. You see here, the largest number they have in common is 2. Now, we know 2. What do they have any variables in common? Yes, they both at least have 2 x's. This has 3 x's, this has 2 x's, so they at least both have 2 x's, so it's x squared. So I'm going to divide both of these terms by 2x squared. What do I have left? 30 divided by 2 is 15. X cubed divided by x squared is like saying 3 minus 2, which is 1. So 1x is left. And then 2 divided by 2 is 1, positive 1. And then x squared divided by x squared is like saying 2 minus 2, which is 0. So there's no x's left here. So I have two factors, 2x squared and 15x plus 1. I'm going to go to my paper, and I'm going to look for 2x squared and 15x plus 1. So 2x squared is 2x squared is, where is it? Okay, well, I'm glad I did this one. We're going to make this a 2x squared because it doesn't seem like I have it on here. We're going to make this a 2x squared. And then we have a 15x plus 1. And here it is right there. Okay. All right. So that's what you're going to do for the rest of them. Okay. You're going to do numbers 3 through 12. Right. I will see you again or you will see me again on Monday, where we will go over these answers, and then we will talk about how to factor out trinomials or quadratics when A is not 1. Okay. Hope you all have a great weekend. Hope you're all staying happy and healthy, and I'll see you on Monday.